welcome to Hot Chocolate Hits. I'm Vedika and today I'm going to show you how to make The Fault in Our Stars cupcakes for the upcoming movie premiere, which is out on June 6th in Poland. I'm not sure where it's out, when it's out, wherever you live, but I am a big John Green fan. I love John Green's books, and The Fault in Our Stars was a fantastic book, and everyone's been going crazy about it, so today I thought I'd share with you a quick tutorial on how to make cupcakes for The Fault in Our Stars. This is super easy and I hope you enjoy learning how to make these cupcakes, so let's get started. So to make these Fault in Our Stars cupcakes, now obviously there's multiple ways to make them. This is just the way that I thought was simplest. You're going to need some cupcakes. I'm choosing to use vanilla cupcakes, but I think what would be really cool is if you made some hazelnut or Nutella cupcakes, because you know hazel and then hazelnut, get it? I do have a recipe for Nutella cupcakes that I think would work great in this kind of decorating technique, but today I'm just choosing to use some plain vanilla cupcakes, and of course you can find the recipe on my blog. You're also going to need some blue frosting. I dyed this neon blue, just a couple of drops until it resembled the cover, and this is the cover, so as you can see I tried to get it to be pretty close. You're also going to need some chocolate that has been melted, so you're going to need some bittersweet chocolate or dark chocolate, as dark as you can get it. The darker you can get it, the better. And you're going to need some white chocolate. Now if you want to dye the dark chocolate black to resemble the cover more, then you can do that, but I felt like the blue had enough food coloring, so I was done with that. You're also going to need some colored sugar. This is totally optional, but I think that it adds a nice sparkle to the cupcakes, and of course I will show you how to make this if you do not have access to buy it. You're also going to need a cookie cutter, and I'm using a flower-shaped cookie cutter that's about 2 inches in diameter. Now if you can get one that's 1 inch in diameter, that's all the better, because as you can see, if I put this on my cupcake, it's pretty big, and we're going to do 2 of those. So essentially what you want to do with this cookie cutter is you want to kind of bend it slightly to make it look like a cloud. If you have a cloud cookie cutter that's about 1 inch or 2 inches in diameter, that would work great as well. So I think that's about where I want it. So we're going to start by making the logo. To make the logo, you want to start off by lining a cookie tray with parchment paper or foil greased with butter. And then what you want to do is you want to pour about half of the chocolate that you've melted. I'm starting with the dark chocolate, but essentially you want to do both the milk and the dark chocolate. And if you're using a lot, like if you're making say 12 cupcakes, you would need about 200 grams of each type of chocolate, so that means you would melt about 100 grams. And then you might need to use 2 different cookie sheets depending on how much chocolate you're using. So you just want to spread it into about, like I'd say 0.2 centimeters thick. You don't want it too thin, because then it will be difficult, then it will be see-through and it will break pretty easily. So just spread it out as best you can. I'm using a rubber spatula to spread it out, but I highly suggest using an offset spatula because you'll get a nice cleaner and like a sleeker layer, a smoother layer on the surface especially, but you won't have to worry too much because once the chocolate hardens and you invert it, then you'll have that smooth layer that you're looking for anyway. So once you've spread the chocolate into the layer, you want to put it into the refrigerator for 5 minutes or into the freezer for 2 to 3 minutes. Not until it's like super set and super solid, but just until it's like soft, but it's not like still melted, and if you touch it, it should be dry. Now, I made a mistake, and what I did was I actually put it in the freezer for like 5 to 10 minutes, so when it came out it was quite solid. But still, what you want to do is you want to take your cookie cutter and you want to press it down into the chocolate, and you will have a nice cloud shape. Now do note that if you do this into the dark chocolate, milk chocolate is still slightly softer, but the dark chocolate did crack. So you do want to be careful about that. Make sure that you take it out like 2.5 minutes afterwards, and then it will come out easier. And then all you need to do is, if it probably won't pop out because it'll still be fairly soft, so then you want to put it back into the freezer for another 2.5 minutes, and then using a rubber spatula or some kind of like something to take it out, you can easily peel it off of the parchment paper. Do note that you need 1 cloud from each the dark and the white chocolate for the cupcake. Also make sure that you don't touch them directly with your hands too often, because then you'll have like your fingerprint indented in the chocolate, and that will not be pretty, and it will also start to melt. You can store these in the refrigerator or at room temperature. Once you're ready to pipe, you're going to take your clouds and you're going to transfer the remaining chocolate in separate piping bags. Now I'm using a 2-inch nozzle and a Wilton piping bag. However, you can just snip off the edge of the piping bag and use a Ziploc bag if you must. And I'm just sticking with the simple quote, "okay, okay," which is very common for The Fault in Our Stars. It's also really easy to pipe since it's only 2 words. I like to hold my piping bag like a pencil, especially when I'm piping chocolate because it runs a lot, and then when you hold it like a pencil, I feel like you have more control. The only thing you have to remember, especially if you're holding it like a pencil, is that the frosting does come out the back, so make sure that's sealed with either a rubber band or a clamp. You can also use a buttercream or royal icing if you prefer, but I like to work with chocolate since I already had the chocolate melted, and it's a great way to use up those leftover scraps from the clouds. Just remelt them. And if it isn't clear enough in the video, also make sure that you use opposite color of chocolate on the cloud because you don't want white on white, otherwise you won't be able to see the logo. You're smart, you probably already know that, but I just want to re-emphasize it. And once you're done with the piping, you can store these back into the refrigerator to harden, especially for the logo, otherwise things can go wrong. So make sure that you do let the letters harden before you place the clouds on the cupcake. So before we get started on frosting the cupcake, we're going to make the blue sugar, which is optional. All you have to do is take about 1/3 of a cup of granulated sugar and add 2 drops of that food coloring that you use to dye the frosting. And you're going to use the same color, obviously. Then just shake the bag until the sugar has turned blue miraculously. And this is a great alternative if you don't already have blue sugar. But once again, this step is optional, so only do it if you actually want to do it. It's an additional step. I think it looks pretty, so I'm going to do it. And then you just kind of want to smush those pieces so that the color is evenly distributed throughout the sugar. Then you want to pour the sugar into a shallow dish and set it aside. For putting the cupcake together, you're just going to take a generous dollop of the frosting and plop it on top of the cupcake and just smooth it out as best you can. It doesn't have to be perfect, especially if you're going to be dipping it in the sugar. And once you're satisfied with the surface of your cupcake, you're gently going to take it and you're going to place it heads down into the sugar and just swirl it slightly to coat it completely. And finally, you're ready to place the logo on. So we're going to lay on the black part of the logo before we do the white part. So all you want to do is you want to take a little bit of frosting and just gently put it onto the back of the cloud. And you just have to do this pretty roughly. It's not like it has to be perfect. And then just place it on the top of the cupcake and position it wherever you'd like to. Then just do the same thing with the white part and make sure that the white overlaps the dark chocolate slightly. And I'd just like to say that make sure that when you cut the clouds out with the cookie cutter, make sure you use the opposite side when you pipe so that it's nice and smooth, as you can see on the cupcake. And now you're just ready to serve it. Take it to your parties, your friends will love it. These are super fun and great for the movie premiere. So I hope you enjoyed learning how to make these Fault in Our Stars cupcakes as much as I like making this tutorial, because it's always fun to make like cakes and cookies based on upcoming movies or books. But I do highly recommend you read the book before you watch the movie because John Green is an exceptional author. He's one of my favorites, and I think that his mind is very creative and everyone should experience one of his books. Don't forget to leave a comment below and tell me what you thought of this video, and if you'd like to see more videos like this. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye. My friend Di over at Di Likes to Bake also made some Fault in Our Stars cupcakes for the movie premiere. The link will be in the description box below as well as the box here, so be sure to check her out as well.